So I'm a part-time TYT sports commentator, mostly on tennis and cycling, and a very occasional part-time college football fan. Never really cared too much about it until this year. It is as exciting as you can get. This is the first year that, of course, everybody knows that the NCAA football is going to have some kind of playoff system with the top 4 teams. As soon as that was decided and announced, already I was a little interested because that made January 1st, or whatever the date that the bowl games are going to be back on, interesting again. In the past, in the past couple of years at the BCS, there were no interesting games on January 1st. I just waited for the championship game. Now, all of a sudden, January 1st with the 2 playoff games is going to be awesome. But it's not just the January 1st date. The whole season is turning out to be thrilling because now you don't just have to jockey for who the first 2 teams are, but you got 4 teams you're trying to be in the top 4, so you have 5, 6, 7, 8 teams with a realistic chance to get in the top 4, and there are so many important, exciting games all throughout the year. Looking forward to the rest of this year, Jason, you got Alabama, Texas, and Auburn, Texas A&M and Auburn all playing each other. You got Baylor playing Oklahoma, FSU playing highly ranked Notre Dame. Every single one of these games, and more that are on my list, UCLA against Oregon, these are all going to be national championship type or quarterfinal playoff college football games. It's as exciting as you can get.
There's definitely a lot more pressure on certain matchups within the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, because I don't see, or I'd be very shocked in the first college football playoff with the committee selecting these 4 teams that will be playing, that 2 teams from the same power conference will make it. I know we talked yesterday about the emphasis that, in Auburn and Alabama right now ranked 5th and 3rd respectively. I think that is true. Alabama got pushed out by Oregon. Sorry. So Auburn, Alabama, that game comes about. That's going to have huge implications on which SEC team is going to make the playoff. And then you're looking at the Pac-12, which has risen to become a much more powerful conference this year than it was last year because teams like UCLA and USC, even after a bad beat against Boston College last week, that's going to be an extremely exciting game. Not that it wasn't beforehand, but like you were saying, with a college football playoff as part of it, it's not just like the rivalries become even bigger rivalries because you're fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, they get national implications, not just local implications.
Right. And especially, just noticing in Los Angeles that there's no football team here in LA, so college football has a huge following. UCLA and USC is almost like the professional football teams here.
Well, for sure. On that note, this was like 10 years ago. It's a little ridiculous what happens in LA. There was a very exciting Monday night football game, NFL. Very controversial, and everyone was talking about it. I don't remember what the teams were or what the controversy was. But I tuned into LA sports radio the next day to hear more talk about it. And the announcer literally said, "Oh, there was a Monday night game last night, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about USC." Who cares about USC back then? But it was just an LA local parochial thing. So LA sports is a little overdoing it with the USC UCLA thing. And when for the Taco Bowl, when those 2 teams play, the supermarkets are full with people buying chips and beer. It's a national holiday, or it's a city holiday in this town. But I'm digressing here. We're back to college football, how the interest is just skyrocketing now, the drama, the excitement, the meaningfulness of these games because of the 4-team playoff. Now, the logical conclusion was it'll be twice as good as if you have 8 teams. I don't agree with that because once you pass a line and so many teams get in, then it doesn't matter if you're 1st or 5th or 6th or 7th or 2nd. It's like the NBA. A lot of fans just wait till the playoffs now. So I'm happy to let it ride at 4 teams for a couple of years and see how it goes because it's off to a great start in year 1.
Exactly. Like you said, it's off to a great start. It's definitely a step in the right direction, much better than having year in and year out one national championship game where the 3rd seed or the 3rd ranked team deserve to be in it as much as the 2nd ranked team. So now with at least the college football playoff, if let's say the committee selects the it's 1 through 4 at the end of the year, and those 4 teams get selected. It just means the 5th team gets screwed out of a playoff spot instead of the 3rd for a national championship, but it's a playoff, and that's what's important. The bowl, you were saying before you're not a fan of January 1st. Like, I personally I'm a Big Ten football fan. I'm a Wisconsin Badger fan. So my New Year's Day tradition with my father who went to Wisconsin is to watch the Badgers lose in the Rose Bowl, because that's what's happened, getting spanked by the Pac-12 year in and year out. So I wonder what the change is going to be from. Are there going to be a lot less viewers for the bowl games because there's a playoff? And also, are they naming it? It's still the national championship game. It's not the BCS national championship game anymore, right?
That's for sure.
It's not the bowl championship series national championship game. Besides the absurd amount of made-up bowl games that occur on December 17th.
Well, look, college football will probably be an important part of TYT sports going forward, and I'm going to hand it off to someone who's an actual fan and knows a lot more about it than I do. I'm coming from the perspective of just a general sports fan who hasn't really cared that much about college football the past couple of years until this year, where every week and from now until the rest of the season, there's going to be some very important, exciting, meaningful game.
Who are you rooting for this year, Dave?
Who am I looking forward to this year?
Rooting for.
Rooting for? I like Oregon for that exciting offense, even though Chip Kelly's not there anymore. It's still his legacy.
Still got Marcus Mariota there, who's a very impressive quarterback for college football standards. Not going to do well in the NFL.